Yo, what's going on out there, everybody? Ballers Report Podcast, Warzone Sports Network, Shakeback Media Group. It's your boy, Willie Epteen Jr. Man, here I am once again. I'm ready to talk all kinds of sports. Thank you guys out there for checking us out on YouTube for the Shakeback Media Group channel, as well as the Warzone Sports YouTube channel and the Twitter feed for the Shakeback Media Group. We welcome your comments. And as the screen does say, please subscribe and rate and review, man. We got a lot to get into. Actually, we're going to get all four, or actually we're going to hit three of the four, or I guess you could say five. Three of the five major sports leagues in North America with the NFL and the legal tampering period. Also, Major League Baseball, the lockout is done and spring training has begun. And there have been a lot of moves made thus far in the realm of free agency, the hot stove that's come about 4 months late. And then, of course, the NBA. We're going to get into all that. But you already know what we got to do. You already know what it is. So let's go.
Right about now, you're about to be possessed by the sounds.
Yeah, I know what it is. You little suckers get to talking, grabbing out walking, strapped to the pong, getting tossed and smacking, they sleep with the coffins. And they getting greedy like saying, give me all.
Yes. Once again, that music lets you know that we are on point for another Ballers Report podcast. Willie Epteen Jr., Warzone Sports Network, Shakeback Media Group, holding it down. We got a lot to get into. I don't even know where to start, but we're going to start here because it seems to be the biggest thing going right now as the legal tampering period. Yeah, it's on. And things really heated up early on Monday. Look, I want to go through just a few because there's so many out there. I really want to talk about the teams that impact me personally and indirectly. I'm in Dallas, as you guys may know. So I live in the Dallas area. So, I'm going to talk about the Cowboys. I'm a Raider fan, and the Raiders are in the land of the AFC West. Also going to talk, of course, about Tom Brady, who came out of retirement. We're going to get to that. I think I want to start with the thing that kicked the whole thing off, and it was actually a trade. Russell Wilson going to the Denver Broncos in exchange for a whole bunch of stuff, to include Noah Fant and Drew Lock, quarterback and tight end, going to the Seattle Seahawks in exchange for Russell Wilson. Now, let's talk about the Broncos really fast because they now have a championship caliber quarterback to go along with the championship caliber defense. If you guys have not seen, they already have Bradley Chubb. They just signed Randy Gregory. After Randy Gregory or whoever leaked it that he was going to be re-signing with the Dallas Cowboys, 5 years, $70 million, he said, you know what? Psych, I'm taking my talents to Denver and to Mile High. And for the sake of that young man's mental health, I'm hoping and praying that he does not participate in what we all know to be legal in Colorado. So now you have the Broncos with Russell Wilson. You had the Williams kid at running back that put on the show last year as a rookie. You have those three dynamic wide receivers in Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and J.K. Hamler. And now you bring in Randy Gregory to go along with Justin Simmons in the secondary, who's one of the better safeties in the NFL. And you now have a contending team in Denver. So that's, to me, where it all started. And then we saw, of course, Aaron Rodgers make the decision that he's going back to the Packers for 3 more years, $150-something million, all guaranteed. So he's going to be front-loaded that contract for sure. And as a matter of fact, the Packers actually did a good thing. Even though it's all guaranteed for Aaron Rodgers, it's only going to count like $28 million against the cap. So what they have to address is Devontae Adams, their wide receiver, who they franchise tagged. That's already going to command a cap hit of $20 million. It will be in their best interest them being the Packers, to get Devontae on a long-term deal so they can release some of that salary cap, spread it out over signing bonuses or what have you. That's what they need to do there. And from then on, it just got live and got real all over the place. Let me just go through. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay here in the AFC West because, like I said, that's my division. That's where the Raiders are. And here we are. So, the Las Vegas Raiders, they did sign or extend Max Crosby 4 years, almost $99 million, $95 million in new money, and $53 million total guaranteed. Talk about the bookends. We have it. Max Crosby on one side, Yannick Ngakoue on the other side. So that's something that that was needed. You know, when a lot of football teams build from the edges, cornerback, offensive line with the tackles, and then defensive line with the D ends. And now the Raiders are kind of set for a couple years with that. The Kansas City Chiefs, they franchised their offensive tackle Orlando Brown, and he hadn't signed a tender yet, and he probably won't until he gets a deal that he wants. They have until July 15th, of course, before that deadline is up. Frank Clark, who a lot of people thought would be out of there, $29 million with a max of 36 with incentives over 2 years. And Justin Reed signs a 3-year, $31.5 million guarantee, or $20 million guaranteed. So what does that mean for the Honey Badger? The Honey Badger is going to be on the move. And he's led the NFL, or he's up there tops in the NFL since 2016 with the number of interceptions. We know that he's a turnover machine. We know that he is a leader on anybody's defense. And he's still got a lot left in the tank, ladies and gentlemen. So it's going to be interesting to see where the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, ends up. All right, for the Chargers started their free agent frenzy by signing or re-signing Mike Williams, wide receiver, to a 3-year, $60 million deal, $40 million in fully guaranteed money. But here's where it got real for the Chargers. Austin Johnson, defensive tackle, he's expected to sign with the Chargers if he hadn't already done so. Sebastian Joseph Day, he's going to sign a 3-year, $24 million with $15 million in guarantees. We just mentioned it. Khalil Mack, acquired in a trade from the Chicago Bears, comes back home to the AFC West. So now you have Khalil Mack on one side. You have Joey Bosa on the other side. I know Tony Tucker is happy. I'm not happy about that. And then they got the most prized possible complete player, or the most prized free agent player, regardless of position, in the entire period. And that's cornerback J.C. Jackson, who left New England and is now in Los Angeles, $82.5 million, $40 million guaranteed over 5 years. So let's look at the Los Angeles Chargers and what they have just on defense. Joey Bosa on one side, Khalil Mack on the other. They have Asante Samuel Jr. on one side in the secondary. Now they have J.C. Jackson. Oh, by the way, they have Derwin James back there too. Yeah, the Chargers are going to be loaded. And again, Kansas City Chiefs for a quarterback in Patrick Mahomes who thrives when the blitz is on. These teams have seen the blueprint, and I'm going to take credit for my Raiders for providing that for the rest of the National Football League, because we were the first to do it. You get pressure with 4 on Mahomes, you have a greater chance of beating that team. And now we just talked about it with the Broncos. We talked about it with the Raiders. Now we're talking about it with the Chargers. So those 3 teams, 3 or 4 teams, have the best bookend pass rushers as a duo, probably in the entire league. And then, you know, for the Kansas City Chiefs, again, they got everything on offense. But I think that, and I've been saying this for a while, their receiver core is average at best outside of Tyreek Hill. Now, I'm not talking about Travis Kelce, who's the best tight end in the league. I'm talking about their wide receiver room. Outside of Cheetah is average at best. I keep saying it. Okay, so to a couple of teams that affect me indirectly, because like I said, I live in the Dallas area, so I'm always interested in what's going on with the Cowboys. Not only because I love to root against them, not because of them themselves, because of their fans. And in particular, there's a couple in that I like to point out. I'm not gonna do that this time though. But did you not see what Randy Gregory? As a matter of fact, just let me play this.
Oh my God! Did you see that?
Yeah, Randy Gregory told them, being the Cowboys, nah, I'm good, man. I'm headed to Denver. So they thought that they were going to have DeMarcus Lawrence, another bookend duo. They thought they were going to have DeMarcus Lawrence, who they actually did extend 3 years, $40 million, $30 million guaranteed. But that is a big loss for that Cowboys defensive line that was already suffering with depth. Okay, and I know they got a couple of young guys that they like, but you can't with DeMarcus Lawrence. And I know he's had down a couple of years, and then the year before last, when that other dude was the defensive coordinator before Quinn got here last year, he had a very down year, and then of course this year he was injured and I was out for like 10 games. But a Cowboys faithful, and the squad, apparently they still have a little bit of faith left in him in regard to how he can play on the field by giving him that extension. So Dalton Schultz, their tight end, he got the franchise tag. Michael Gallup, he got the extension, 5 years, $57.5 million. That includes 23 in guaranteed. That also includes a $10 million signing bonus. Now, Michael Gallup went out, I want to say it was in week 14 or something like that, with an ACL injury. So we're not going to see him to the later part of the 2022 season, if at all. They also did re-sign Malik Hooker, the safety, to a 2-year deal worth $8 million as well. And then with them, the Cowboys, they started off this thing as well, along with the Packers, along with the Seahawks and the Broncos. They traded, of course, their wide receiver, Amari Cooper. Raider Nation, I'm going to let y'all have it on this one because we share the same sentiment. But Amari Cooper is now in Cleveland in exchange for a 5 and a 6 coming to Dallas, and Cleveland also gets a 5, I believe, from Dallas as well. And I wanted to talk, I'm going to get to the salary cap stuff here in just a second, but as I'm thinking about it right now, the Cowboys were really like over the cap big time, and getting Amari Cooper off the books was a savings for them, as they got rid of that $20 million guarantee tag that Cooper was going to get. But let me get back to Cooper and the Raiders and all that real quick, because I remember when the trade took place and people here in Dallas, fans here in Dallas were, oh yeah, we got our guy. We got our number one guy. I said, just wait. Hold on. Just wait. Hold on. So when he got here, yeah, it was gangbusters. I mean, Dak Prescott's numbers improved. The team offensively improved. Great numbers they put across the board, really, for a year and a half. But I told him, I said, Amari Cooper is going to do two things. He's going to disappear and he's going to drop passes. And what happened? He dropped passes and he disappeared. When he went up against the other team's number one cornerback, he disappeared. Even when he didn't go up against the team's number one cornerback, he disappeared until he was able to get into the game. I don't understand it. I actually am somewhat of an Amari Cooper fan, particularly when he was with the Oakland Raiders. But, and there's always a but he actually is one of the better route runners. I mean, there's not too many receivers in this game that I've seen that can get separation the way that he does. His hands are really good, except for when he's not engaged. So the Cowboys may be thinking, well, we had our number one guy. Now what's going to happen? I'm telling you what's going to happen. You're about to find out how much of a number one receiver CeeDee Lamb really is, if he is at all. We're about to find that out, because with Gallup being injured, with Cooper being gone, and Cedric Wilson just signed a deal to play for Miami. He's gone. We're going to see how much attention CeeDee Lamb commands in an offense that does not have Gallup for a while, and of course with Cooper. So interesting stuff there. Okay. Other stuff going on in the NFC East, or the NFC least. Carson Wentz, he is now the Washington Commanders quarterback after a trade with the Indianapolis Colts for a third rounder this year and next year, they will also take on all of Carson's salary from the Indianapolis Colts. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Let me go back and see if anybody's out there watching. Okay, so let me ask you guys a question. Who won the trade between the Washington Commanders and the Indianapolis Colts? I'm going to tell you who won the trade. That would be the Philadelphia Eagles, because they got all those draft picks from the Colts, and Wentz is not even there anymore. They won that trade. And Indianapolis, they may have been going after Mitchell Trubisky, who signed the deal to play in Pittsburgh to take over the reins from Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, they may go after Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo just may stay in San Francisco. They may go after Marcus Mariota from the Raiders. We'll see. But they need a quarterback. But the good thing about the Colts is this, is they have the most money under the cap of any team in the National Football League. I think I want to say it's like $63 million under the cap. So they can spend and go out and get whoever they want to get. But who are they going to get, though? Who are they going to get that's either comparable or even better than what Carson Wentz was for them last year? Not that Carson Wentz had a terrible year, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks, over 3,000 yards passing. I mean, they hung it on him for those last 2 games against the Raiders and the Jaguars. And speaking of the Jaguars, oh my gosh, I got to play it again, guys, because the Jacksonville Jaguars are up to something. They are really up to something. So,
Oh my God! Did you see that?
just in case you didn't hear it or didn't see it, let's run down who the Jacksonville Jaguars picked up for Trevor Lawrence and James Robinson, the running back, as well as Cam Robinson, who was franchised for the second straight year. They got Zay Jones from the Las Vegas Raiders, 3 years, $24 million with a max contract value of $30 million. Zay Jones may not be a number 1 receiver. He may not be a number 2 receiver, but he is a speedster, and he can take the top off of a defense anytime. So you're going to automatically have to respect that. With that guy in the quarterback room, Trevor Lawrence throwing him bombs. Oh, you thought I was done? Christian Kirk, he comes over from the Arizona Cardinals, $72 million, $84 million max value, $37 million guaranteed over the next 4 years. Christian Kirk, Texas A&M product, went to Arizona. It took him a while to find his groove, but last year was his best year yet, a career high 77 receptions, and he can take the top off the defense as well. Okay, you think I'm done? Not done yet. They go out and get a tight end, a bona fide tight end, a top 12 tight end in Evan Ingram from the New York Giants. They got him on a prove-it deal, 1 year. Then they go and get some offensive line help with Brandon Sheriff, $49.5 million, $30 million guaranteed, $33 million in the first 2 years. Oh my gosh. So you pair him with Cam, and they also re-signed Tyler Shatley, which I think is with Cam and Sheriff, that's going to make Shatley that much better of a player. And then look what they did on defense. They go out and get Foley Fatukasi, 3 years, $30 million, $20 million guaranteed. And then they get Foy Lukanen, 3 years, $45 million linebacker there, has a max value of 46.5. They did let go of Miles Jack, long-time linebacker there. But you got to look at what Jacksonville is doing with new head coach Doug Peterson. Not only that, these signings, not only these acquisitions, but you already have James Robinson in the backfield. You have Travis Etienne, who was drafted by what's his name? The dude that got fired. Y'all know who I'm talking about. And he's come back off of an injury, which he did not play 1 down last year. Okay. So Urban Meyer, of course, is what I'm trying to think of. So they essentially have a good deal of weapons. Now, DJ Chark did get out the door as he signed a deal with the Detroit Lions. I'm not quite understanding why he would do that. Maybe he was looking for more money than Jacksonville was willing to pay him. Who knows? But the thing is that Jacksonville made a boatload of moves that I'm very, very impressed with. Another team that made some very impressive moves. And y'all could talk about me all you want to. You could talk about them all you want to. But the New York Jets had the second most money. Actually, yeah, they had the second most money to spend. Salary cap wise. They got almost $45 million to spend. Okay? That's a lot of dough. And what they've already done so far in free agency, they got Tevin Coleman on a 1-year deal. He's a good weapon out of the backfield, can run and catch. They re-signed Braxton Berrios, who they love. They got CJ Uzomah, one of the top 7, I would say, tight ends in the league. They steal him away from Cincinnati. 3 years, $24 million. They get Connor McDermott. They re-upped on him. Then they get Thomas in the offensive guard, 3 years, $40 million. That is going to be a huge addition for that offensive line with McDermott and with the other kid that they had that's been there for a while now. I can't think of his name. But anyway, DJ Reed, he signs a 3-year, $33 million contract, cornerback there, and Jordan Whitehead. So the Jets seem to be putting the right pieces in place around Zach Wilson. The second overall, third overall pick from last year? Top 5 pick. Don't laugh at the Jets. They might show you something. Okay. And then, of course, let's go to Deshaun Watson, AFC South. I'm only going to talk about them, and then we're going to move on to some other things here in the NFL. Deshaun Watson, of course, was cleared of all criminal activity. The Harris County jury or grand jury did not have enough evidence to find an indictment for him. So what does that mean now? Well, it means basically this: his criminal troubles are behind him. Now he does still face the civil issues that could cost him some money out of, for settlement on that, and then he has to face the shield, the NFL shield, of course, with possible violation of the personal conduct. I'm really interested to see how that's going to play out, because and I know for a criminal investigation and a civil investigation, but the evidence, the demonstration or the presentation of evidence is different. But what is the NFL going to judge this on once this all comes out and is done and over with? What team is going to really take a chance? Now, he has been linked to Cleveland, Miami, Carolina, and New Orleans, and now a dark horse, the Atlanta Falcons. So let's ask the question like this: not where do we think he should go, not do we think what do we think, or not where do we think he will go, not even where we think we want him to go. But if he wants to win a Super Bowl within the next couple of years, or have a viable chance, opportunity to win a Super Bowl in the next 2 years, I'm not picking Cleveland. I'm not picking Atlanta. I'm not picking Carolina, but I am picking the Saints. Now, they would have to make the money fit, because the Saints at one point were $45.5 million over the cap. Well, they've reduced that, and they reduced it some more on Tuesday, because they restructured, I want to say it was Marcus Davenport's, to free up like $8 million in cap relief. So a Saints team that was at one point $44.5 million over the cap, now they're probably under the cap. But the last report I had is that they were $3 million over the cap. But again, they saved, I want to say it was $7 to $8 million off of Marcus Davenport's contract by turning it into a bonus. So now you can conceivably say that the Saints are now under the cap, and they still have moves to make. Now, they had an issue with their prized offensive lineman, Teron Armstead. He hasn't signed yet. And there's a chance that he could be waiting to see what Deshaun's going to do in terms of whether or not he's going to stay with New Orleans, or if Deshaun goes somewhere else, he may decide to go somewhere else as well. We'll see. But in terms of Deshaun Watson having the best opportunity to win a Super Bowl, or at least get to a Super Bowl within the next 2 to 3 years, New Orleans is the best option. They have Alvin Kamara. They got one of the best wide receivers in the league and can't guard Mike Thomas. They have a couple of other up-and-coming receivers that really stepped up in Thomas's absence last year with Jameis Winston and Trevor Siemian, and also the kid from Notre Dame, Ian Book. But Thomas will be back. Kamara will be back healthy. They still have Latavius Murray there as well to share that room in the backfield with Kamara. And the defense, oh my gosh, the defense is off the chain, although they did. Again, they lost one of their guys to the Ravens. The safety. I can't think of his name right now. I'll think of it in just a second. So anyway, that's where Deshaun Watson should think about going, should he desire to win a Super Bowl. Marcus Williams, that's right. And y'all remember Marcus Williams. He was instrumental in the Minneapolis Miracle a few years ago when Stephon Diggs caught that pass from the kid from Houston, the backup quarterback at that time, Case Keenum, and took it to the house, and then that eliminated the Saints. He was the one that actually, if you remember, he was the one that dove and mistimed his tackling, tried to get Stephon Diggs on the ground. So he's now in Baltimore with a 5-year, $70 million contract, $37 million in guarantees. So let's look at it like this. If Deshaun Watson were to go to New Orleans, let's look at the quarterbacks in the NFC. You have, I'm going to go top to bottom in terms of the best. Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady in Tampa, who's coming back. Nobody surprised. Matthew Stafford in LA. And then you would have Deshaun in New Orleans. There's no other quarterback in the NFC that comes close to the same tier as those guys. Remember, Russell Wilson is now in Denver. Russell Wilson was a nemesis for Aaron Rodgers for years. So is the San Francisco 49ers, but that's another subject for another day. So when you look at it from the landscape of the NFC, just like we have been saying, or I ain't going to say we, I'm going to say they, because a lot of people out there that are experts or so-called experts were saying how Aaron Rodgers should stay in the NFC because this path to the championship game, or I'm sorry, to the Super Bowl is of less resistance in the NFC than it will be in the AFC. Whatever. They're all professionals. There's 32 starting quarterbacks. There's 16 in each conference. There's going to be 12, or there's going to be 7 of them that make the playoffs. They got good quarterbacks. So it ain't all just about that anyway. I mean, look what happened last year and the year before that. Well, not necessarily the year before that, but the year before that when they went out to San Francisco and Jimmy Garoppolo beat them throwing the ball 9 times. Yeah, that same Aaron Rodgers. So I don't really buy that path of least resistance stuff. It's BS to me. So let's switch to the AFC and look at the quarterbacks over there. AFC West loaded. Patrick Mahomes, I hate them. Justin Herbert, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr. I mean, those are 4 quarterbacks that can 2 of them have already gone to the Super Bowl and won it. There's another quarterback that has gone to the Super Bowl twice and should have won that one. Justin Herbert has all the talent, all the ability, all of everything to get his team there. And Derek Carr, if you surround Derek Carr with the right pieces like you did in 2016, he's good enough to get you there. I think that may be the only division in the NFL which you could say all 4 quarterbacks in the same division could be good enough, are good enough, and could be good enough to get your team to the Super Bowl with the right fits and pieces and all that. Straight up. So the quarterback situation continues to evolve. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky, he's going from the Bills to the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 years, $14.25 million, up to $27 million in incentives. So you know he's going to be trying to make a splash with that. But here's why I'm excited for Mitchell Trubisky. Not that I'm a fan of his, because I was never a fan of his when the Bears moved up to get him. I don't think you can. You have to really be that guy to only have played a handful of games or maybe 2 handfuls of games in college and then come out and be the number 2 or number 3 overall pick. And he wasn't that guy. But what Mitchell Trubisky does have is the ability to move. He has the ability to make plays off schedule. He has ability to make plays with his feet and his arm. And you have a running back there in Pittsburgh from Alabama, that ran for 1,200 yards behind that pathetic offensive line. You've got 2 or 3 receivers there led by Chase Claypool. You've got a good tight end there now. And you have a defense that has playmakers at every level. And Mitchell Trubisky is going to a coach or going to a team with a coach that has never had a losing season in the NFL. I'm excited for him. He has a really good opportunity to change his fortunes. And I'm always rooting for the shakeback story. Y'all know me. Always rooting for the shakeback story. So I want to go through this real quick. There's still some high-priced or high-name, big-name free agents out there. We mentioned one of them with Armstead. There's also, Allen Robinson II, the wide receiver from the Chicago Bears. He's still out there. Von Miller, he's still out there. I saw something on Tuesday that he may be linked to the Dallas Cowboys. He is from Dallas, went to DeSoto High School before he went off to Texas A&M and then became the 2nd overall pick and became Cam Newton's daddy in the Super Bowl when he just gave those dudes nightmares. He's still out there. So there's still a lot of free agents out there to be obtained. I'm excited to see what's going to happen once the legal tampering period is over and it just becomes just it. You know, the contracts can be signed. And then, of course, with the draft coming around the corner as well, it's going to be very exciting in the NFL. One other thing, too, I want to go over these salary cap numbers. I'm going to do the top 10. Indianapolis Colts, $62 million under the cap. New York Jets, $45 million under the cap. Seattle Seahawks, thanks to getting rid of Russell Wilson's contract, they are now $42 million under the cap. The Chicago Bears, $34.5 million under the cap. The Carolina Panthers, $31.3 million under the cap. The Raiders, $29 million under the cap. Dallas Cowboys, $28, and the Miami Dolphins are sitting there at $27 million under the cap, and then followed by the Broncos, who had $23 under the cap. So there's still a lot of money to be spent. And if you remember, the cap went up from $182 million, I think it was in 2022 or 2021. It's going up to $208,200,000 in 2023. And then in 2022. And then in 2023, it's going up to $225 million. And then in 2024, it will be a whopping $256 million. Wow. That's crazy. All right. That's enough for the NFL right now. Baseball is back. The collective bargaining agreement was signed, sealed, and delivered last week. So free agency immediately begun after that. And look, the frenzy in football is there, but it's a lot more frenzious, if that's even the word, in Major League Baseball. And I'm not going to go through the names, the bigger names, that are out there. There's been some trades. Matt Chapman has gone from the Oakland A's to the Atlanta Braves, and now he signed an 8-year extension there. I mean, and of course, what we already have seen prior to the lockout, you have Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom, and now Chris Bassett has gone from the Oakland A's to the New York Mets. So now they have Scherzer, deGrom, and Bassett, and they have Taijuan Walker as well. And then they have Carlos Carrasco in competition with 4 other people for the 5th starter spot. So the Mets, you guys have it on your head. You got a price tag on your head for everybody that you have in that rotation, and you did improve your bullpen as well. Stay tuned, or actually tune into the hashtag Brothers of Baseball show on the BGC Sports Network. That's with me, man. 12s and 6s, 1s and 7s, Monday through Friday. I break it all down there on a weekly basis. Also, just a couple of notes too, as far as the rules in Major League Baseball. The salary cap, minimum salary cap, is going up to $750,000. I think that's a plus. So they looked out for the younger guys there. The pension for retired players has gone up too. So they looked out for the veteran or the guys that have already retired there. The CBT, the tax rather, the compensation tax, competitive tax balance. That's what it is. Competitive balance tax, whatever they called it. They actually reached an agreement there, and that was the sticking point because, as we know, Major League Baseball does not have a salary cap, a hard salary cap. That is the closest thing that they have to a salary cap. So they got that worked out. 12 teams. The playoffs have been expanded to 12 teams now. So there's going to be 6 from each division, or 7 from each division rather, or each league. I'm trying to say. So the first 2. Or the best 2 teams in the AL and the NL, they will get buys, and then it trickles down from there after that. Fernando Tatis, broken wrist due to a supposed motorcycle crash in December, going to be out for a minimum of 3 months. What does that do for the Padres? They actually have been rumored to be in the mix for one Freddie Freeman, as Freddie Freeman will not be re-signing with the Atlanta Braves since they do have Olsen and have already signed Olsen to an extension. Exciting times there for that dude. And then a couple other free agents of note where we don't know where they're going to go, but we've seen them in the same uniform for years. Carlos Correa. Apparently, the Astros have re-offered him another deal. I think they said it was 6 years, 150-something million. And then Clayton Kershaw, who has not been linked to any squads that I heard of yet. Obviously, he's not going to be with the LA Dodgers anymore. So I'm looking forward to seeing where he's going to end up. I would look if he ends up in New York with the Yankees. Oh my heavens. That just, I mean, I know they would be getting a Kershaw that's way past his prime. I won't even say way past his prime, but he's past his prime, obviously. But to see him going from Dodger blue to pinstripe, New York pinstripe, that just doesn't seem right. All right, we're going to finish off the show with some NBA stuff, man, because a lot of people have been making a lot of noise about LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers and their inability to get on track and make a run for the playoffs. I personally don't want to see them even in the playoff game, or in the play-in game, rather. It's it would be a waste of time. It would be a waste of time because if they happen to win that tournament, they're going to face Golden State or Memphis or Phoenix, of which they would have no chance of beating it. Well, people seem to think they would have a better chance if they had a shot at all. It would be against the Grizzlies because the Grizzlies are supposedly young and dumb, and you know the rest. But that team has had the Lakers number all year. They have had the Lakers number all year. So should LeBron James shut it down? I don't think he should. Will he shut it down? I don't think he will. Because at some point in the next, I would say, couple of weeks, Anthony Davis is going to come back. I mean, we hope as Laker fans, he's going to come back. But will it be enough? I don't know if it will be enough. And as far as the Brooklyn Nets and Ben Simmons, when they went to Philadelphia last week and just battle ram the 76ers, I don't really put too much stake in that. I still feel like the Sixers with Harden and Embiid, along with their side pieces in Thibault and Maxey, I think they have a one-up on the Nets because, yeah, they got Ben Simmons who can handle it. He can play defense, but you can't have Ben Simmons on the floor not being able to shoot from outside of 7 feet. Last year I said 2 feet, but they got Kevin Durant and they got Kyrie Irving part-time. And that may not be enough because as it stands, the Nets, to me, are in a worse predicament than the Lakers, even though they have Kevin Durant. Because any series that Brooklyn plays at home, Kyrie can't play. So they may be doing this on purpose to get a lower seed so he'll have more road games than home games. I don't know, but we shall see. One other thing about the NFL, I want to talk about the hypocrisy that is that. Now, we know that the NFL gives us an entertaining product. We know that. There's no disputing that. I mean, we spent the brunt of this show talking about the NFL, and rightly so, because it's what it is. So Calvin Ridley, the wide receiver from the Atlanta Falcons, was placed on a 17-game suspension for gambling a $1,500 parlay bet, of which I don't know if he won or lost. I don't even care if he won or lost. I don't know if he was betting on the Falcons or if he was betting against the Falcons. I don't know if he was betting on other teams. I don't care if he was betting on other teams. Here's my problem with this. The NFL has shown us that gambling is a more egregious act than spousal abuse. They have shown us that gambling is a more egregious act than getting behind the wheel and driving under the influence. They have shown us that gambling is more egregious than not being under the influence, but getting in the street races and racing cars at 150 miles an hour. They have shown us that gambling is more egregious than a player, an all-time great player, a once-in-a-generational type of player. It's okay to deceive about the vaccination status mandates that were put in place by the NFL to keep people safe and from getting sick. They have shown us that Colin Kaepernick, in his protest against police brutality and all that, is a less egregious act than somebody gambling $1,500 on a parlay bet. Why do I say that? Because Calvin really got suspended for an entire year. Now, Colin Kaepernick has been shut out of the NFL, and he actually did a video of him working out, throwing passes. And I know it's in t-shirts, but he looked like he could move pretty good to me. Ain't played in 5 years. That's another story for another day. But how in the wide world of the National Football League can they really justify? Oh, one other thing. If Stephen Ross is somehow proven to have offered his coach at the time, Brian Flores, 100 bands to lose a game each game in order to further or better their draft position, you mean to tell me that if he only gets a slap on the wrist and a fine and some draft picks taken away, that would be a more egregious act or a less egregious act than gambling? One other thing, I'm gonna get out of here. Is it okay for the owner of the franchise that has the most Super Bowl rings of any other team in the NFL to get popped in a massage parlor in Florida? You mean to tell me that is less egregious than Calvin Ridley and his $1,500 parlay bet? I don't get it. Hopefully one day we will. But with that being said, it's your boy Willie Epstein Jr., Ballers Report Podcast, Warzone Sports Network, man. Y'all take care of each other. Y'all hug each other. Y'all love each other. And we'll holler at y'all again real soon. Peace. I'm done.